the classic, the simplest setup with a bolster and a blanket. Now, one thing to be aware of is to maybe push the bolster a little bit beyond the edge of the mat. And the reason for that is so that when you stretch out your legs, your heels can be on the mat. And so just having your legs, your feet on the mat with the same texture, it just helps to bring a quieter experience. You know, because your body is not taking in a lot of different sensory input. So we're trying to minimize um, all the different sensory stimuli so that you can turn your attention instead toward the breath. It's a small thing, but we've learned through Iyengar Yoga that these small adjustments can make an impact on our consciousness, on our senses, on our minds. So take the time to adjust yourself properly. It'll help you to concentrate more on the breath. So, the slightly downward slope of the abdomen is also designed so that you can feel the abdomen moving as you're breathing. So here we're just in Shavasana. So the legs completely relaxed, the arms relaxed, and just normal breathing here. Normal abdominal breath, which means that the abdomen is effortlessly rising and falling. And be sure to mute yourself. Abdomen is effortlessly rising and falling, and uh, everything else is still. The legs completely released toward the floor, the arms and shoulders released toward the floor. So as you settle down, settle in, so first observing the rising and falling of the abdomen. Next, observe the movement of the air through your nostrils. Don't do anything special with it, just observe it. And let the air come in and out effortlessly, lightly. So today, I want to explore this concept of resistance in the breath and how pranayama is a practice of creating subtle, short-term resistance in the breath. So we'll talk about that more. But here you can observe it happens naturally in the nose. There's just a little bit of resistance through the shape of the nose, through the hairs in the nostrils, the lining of the mucous membranes. There's just a little bit of resistance. And that resistance is necessary and good. One of the reasons why the nose is the perfect instrument for the breath is because it's a filtration system. And any filter is a type of resistance. When you wear a mask, it's yet another layer of filtration. And the reason why some people don't like the mask is because of the resistance that filtration creates. But on some level, that resistance to that's created by the filtration that's created by the shape of the nose is important. How? Why? Because it's stimulating the diaphragm. So that little bit of resistance that you get from nose breathing versus mouth breathing creates a little bit of resistance in order to strengthen and stimulate the diaphragm. So now observe these three things: the rising and falling of the abdomen, the air moving lightly through the nostrils in and out. And now you can picture, you can't necessarily feel this, but you can picture, you can bring your attention to the movement of the diaphragm. So as you inhale, the diaphragm moves down. As you exhale, the diaphragm moves up. It's a steady rhythm. So you can imagine that when you're wearing a mask, when you have an added filtration, the diaphragm, you become more dependent on the suppleness and the strength of the diaphragm. So of course this is extremely important in the age of COVID for us to have really healthy breathing apparatus. So this kind of breathing through the nose helps, it makes the diaphragm more strong and supple and resilient and responsive. The diaphragm also, the movement of the diaphragm also stimulates the phrenic nerve and the vagus nerve. So that helps to calm the nervous system, settle the nervous system. So toning that vagus nerve helps us to be responsive, to be sensitive, to be calm. And you could say that the larger purpose of pranayama is we're creating asana as well. We're creating these slightly stressful situations so that we can learn. We are training our nervous systems, training ourselves to be calm in the face of stress. And what could be more important right now? To be calm and to be able to retain executive function, retain clarity of mind, clarity of action. Because right now a lot of people are not experiencing that clarity. So it's incumbent upon us as yoga practitioners to kind of hold that for ourselves and for our communities. Now, as you slow the breath down, you create more resistance. So now begin to cultivate a slower, softer breath. So now we're transitioning into Ujjayi. So you create greater resistance to slow the breath down by drawing the abdomen up and back and not gulping air, but slowly inhaling. Now into the chest region. And then slowly exhaling. You don't have to go for the slow, super slow breath right away. You're just starting to slow it down. But I think you'll be able to feel how, in order to make the breath slower and softer, you have to create more resistance. So the resting breath has very little resistance. But as we shift into Ujjayi, you're creating more resistance so that you can control the speed of the breath. Not just the speed, but the texture, the weight, um, the density. And we're trying to make the breath thinner, attenuated. So continue in this way. Now, we never rush into Ujjayi, right? You have to let it develop. And not with strain, not with force. We don't create resistance with force, resistance of the breath with force. We create resistance of the breath with awareness and sensitivity. Do a few more cycles of Ujjayi. Bring awareness and sensitivity to that slowing, softening created by resistance. So we embrace resistance. It's not something that is bad necessarily. So finish this cycle of Ujjayi. Return to normal breathing after you finish this cycle. And so back into the resting breath. So when I say that the evidence of an effective pranayama is when your resting breath feels light, easy, and effortless, then the reason why the resting breath feels light, easy, and effortless is because the body has regulated the O2, CO2 levels and has calmed the nervous system through the pranayama. So hopefully the Ujjayi, by creating that little bit of resistance, that little bit of slowing, softening, holding back the breath a little bit, now results in a quiet, easy, effortless, light resting breath. So now let's do one more supine pranayama, a little bit of viloma. Okay, so we're just going to do one pause on the inhale, one pause on the exhale. So the purpose of this viloma today is to observe even more, in a slightly more active way, what that resistance does. Okay, so at the end of this exhale, lengthen out the exhale a little bit, and then begin slow, soft inhale, abdomen up and back, and pause. Then finish the inhale, bring the breath all the way up to the top of the chest, and then begin the exhale. Go halfway and then pause. And then finish the exhale. Complete the exhale. If you feel a need, take a resting breath or two. Otherwise, going to the next cycle. Exhale completely. Inhale halfway. whatever what halfway means to you. Pause. And then all the way up to the top. At the top, turn the corner, exhale, and pause. Then finish the exhale. So the purpose of the pause is to create even more resistance, to take it up another notch. So see what effect that has. Continue on your own for the next couple of minutes, adding that pause at the halfway point, just for a couple of seconds. It doesn't have to be long. If it's too long, then it has the opposite effect on your nervous system. It stimulates the sympathetic nervous system and makes you agitated. So you don't want to go into that mode. You want to stay in that quiet parasympathetic nervous system. Do 3 more like this. So you could say that ayama, so prana means the life force, ayama is the cultivation. So you could say that ayama is creating a little bit of controlled resistance in order to enhance the prana. Okay, so after these cycles, return to normal breathing. And sit up when you're ready. Roll to your side. Sit up when you're ready. Okay, so I'm up on a bolster. Put a blanket under your knees. Another blanket across your lap. So I didn't give you a heads up, but hopefully as yoga practitioners, we keep our nails short. That's one of the conditions of being a yoga teacher. Because if you're going to put your hands on anybody, if you're going to do any kind of hands-on assisting or adjusting, the nails get in the way. We need access to our fingertips, not the finger pads. The finger pads, yes, but especially the fingertips as yoga practitioners. The fingertips are much more sensitive than their finger pads. And the fingertips are associated with Jnanendriyas, the organs of knowledge, the organs of sensitivity. The finger pads are associated with the Karmendriyas, the organs of action. So we always need to have access to our fingertips, which means that our nails need to be short. Okay, so we're going to do some Surya Vedana today. So you take your right hand. I'm also taking my right hand. I'm not mirroring you. And you make a tight fist. You curl all your fingers in like this. So it's not a loose fist. The finger nails are tucked in. So it's a nice round shape like this, okay? And then release the fourth and fifth finger. It's kind of hard because the second and third finger have to stay tucked in. So the fourth and fifth finger come out. And now the fourth and fifth finger meet, this is Pranayama Mudra, meet the thumb. And it's the fingertips that are touching, okay? The fingertips, it's not the finger pads. And then a little gap between the fourth and fifth finger, right here, a little gap, okay? So in the right hand, all right. Then from here, turn the palms up on the left, and just practice holding that for a moment while I explain this breath pattern, Surya Vedana. So at the end of the exhale, you bring the hand up and tuck the fingers into the flare of the nostril. Okay, so it's not like right on the flare, it's just above, and that's in the little notch between the bone and where the nostril flares out. Okay, and so then so just listen for a moment. So at the end of the exhale, the hand goes up, and then you slightly close, so it's creating more resistance, right? You slightly close the nostrils and inhale, and then exhale with the slightly partially closed nostrils, and then bring the hand down. All right. Then I would say take a normal breath. At the end of that exhale, bring the hand back up. Okay. So it's inhales and exhales with partially closed nostrils, both, and we're going to use the right hand only, and we're going to use the fingertips. All right. So I'll talk you through it. And then you'll be on your own. All right, so make sure that you've done all your adjustments, sitting up tall, and then bring your head down. Jalandharapata. Chest up toward the chin, collarbones wide, shoulder blades down, trapezium down, but also the buttock flesh down so that the diaphragm is not being pushed toward the front body. From here, just take a slow, soft inhale, slow, soft exhale. One more, slow, soft inhale, slow, soft exhale. At the end of this exhale, bring your right hand up. Slide it into place. And then slightly close the nostrils as you inhale. It's just a slight partial closure of the nostrils, inhaling. And then at the top of the inhale, then now start to exhale through with that little bit of closure. And then bring your hand down. At the end of the exhale, take a slow, soft inhale, slow, soft exhale. One more. At the end of that exhale, bring your right hand up. And inhale through partially closed nostrils. Exhale when you've finished inhaling. And then at the end of the exhale, bring your hand down and take a resting breath or two. And then bring your head up. I want to just make an adjustment here, slight adjustment. Look at the shape of my wrist, okay? So it's slightly convex. It's not this shape, do you see? This is, I would call that like a concave wrist. It's slightly convex. It's not like sharply convex, but it's slightly rounded here, and the elbow hangs straight down. If otherwise, then the palm is coming toward my mouth, and it's too much like a mask, like a cover. So have the wrist slightly flexed, so that you have so that the elbow is not crushing your body, and the hand is not the palm is not cupping your face. Okay, so slightly rounded, elbow heavy. All right, so let's try that again. Right hand again. Exhale completely, head down, Jalandhara Bandha. So here, as your hand is resting on the blanket, it's slightly convex. The wrist is slightly convex, right? So you maintain that shape. Exhale completely. Bring your hand up. Yes. And then inhale through partially closed nostrils. And then when you're ready, begin the exhale. More chest up, not so much head down, more chest up. And at the end of that exhale, bring your hand down. Slow, soft inhale, slow, soft exhale. Okay, do 3 more on your own. Take your hand down in between cycles. Three more at your own pace. So the hand is partially closing the nostrils to create a little bit more resistance. A little bit more resistance as you inhale and as you exhale. It should not be harsh, but it definitely does create a different kind of breath. It challenges the diaphragm a little bit more. After you've done your 3 cycles, after you finish your 3 cycles, then normal breath. And chin level with the floor, eyes closed. So when you finished, lie down and rest. It's a moderately strenuous pranayama. It's not a beginner pranayama. So rest. Flat on your back if that's comfortable. Sheila, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting, but you all can stay in Shavasana, okay?